Hello, welcome back to the channel, House of Metamorphosis Tribe, where we're transforming hairdressers from the inside out. And today, we're actually going to take a look at the word transformation. What does that mean in the context of hairdressing? Let's take a look at what we do. Hairdressers transform their clients. They literally transform. Hair is an extension of people's identity. When a client comes to see you, in extreme cases, this is not on the everyday case, but in extreme cases of transformation, where a client will come to you and say, I'm done with this look, I want to change my hair. Now, that is the transitional point. That is the crisis moment in the psychology field. That is the crisis moment where a client recognizes that they no longer associate with their identity that they've been carrying for as long as they have been, and they are now in transition and ready to transform into their new self. That's the psychology, the language behind what's really going on. So what happens in that transitional period? How do you communicate with your client and getting to the truth and the authenticity and to the facts that really make up the precipitating factors that gear you and move you and inspire you to start imagining what this transformation for this client will look like. In a lot of cases, hairdressers have always been dumped on by their clients and being held responsible. Like, the client will come and sit in the chair and go, I want to change. And it's up to the hairdresser to work out who it is that they are, who it is that they're becoming, who it is that they actually want to transform into, and how it is that they want to be perceived by the world. What is the identity now that you are cultivating for them? That's a lot of responsibility on a hairdresser that only has the skill set of transforming hair to take on. And for years and years and years and decades, it's always been the hairdresser's responsibility to transform a client without understanding the knowledge, the psychology behind what a transformation entails. How to go into that process of unpacking the transformation, how to derive the information out of your client for them to take responsibility for their transformation and their identity shift. Because it's not about you. When a client projects onto you going, you change me, they're asking you to guesswork into, you work out who I'm becoming and you tell me who I need to be. That's the translation of that. It's huge. It's massive. When you actually unpack it through the psychological lens, you start realizing what really that we're dealing with here, what we're really looking at here. And why hairdressers at the end of their day feel so exhausted and burnt out, because they have spent the whole day potentially trying to work out what their client wants and who their clients are and how they're going to reflect their new identity and how they're going to transfer. It's a lot. It's not just the physical labor that's involved in doing the transformation with the hair. It's the emotional and the psychological labor that also needs to be brought into the holistic picture here. So when we're looking at the term transformation, it is so layered. There's so many layers to understanding what you're doing with the client. And what transitional phase they're in, what rite of passage that they're moving through, what is the psychology that they're experiencing around this transformation. And it's not just like, do you feel like being blonde or do you feel like being a brunette? Why? There's a deeper question of why you've been inspired, that you would ask the client, why are you being inspired to actually change your hair so dramatically? Where has this come from for you? And the beautiful thing about Evolve is that it teaches you through understanding, firstly, the human experience, but secondly, the knowledge behind communication and how to break down communication to generate expansive, to expand the landscape for your client, by understanding the process of communication and how to get to that internal resource that helps you discern together with your client what that change is going to be, what that transformation is going to be. And in the process of that, handing the responsibility over to your clients for them to take responsibility for their identity change. Their identity is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to match their newfound self, their identity, with the reflection that you're taking them through, the hair reflection, to meet their internal identity. A lot of trauma is caused with clients when they've basically handed the responsibility, and we look at trauma in Evolve like extensively, because trauma is a really big part of the shadow aspect of the work we do that's unfounded and unknown, so we need to really take a look at that. We do that in Evolve. But when a client just hands over their responsibility to you of their personality, their identity, and who they are, and you just translate it the way that your lens has allowed you to translate it, so you're just being human pretty much, and going, well, by what you're saying, I'm receiving it like this and blah, 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 blah. So therefore, and you might iterate, back and summarize to them. So what I'm understanding about what you're saying is that you want to be blonde, you want to go shorter, and you want it to be easy to take care of. That could be your translation of what a client is moving through. But after doing this for 25 years, I assure you it's so much more than that. It's so much deeper than that. And if you can get to the depth of what's really going on with your client, who they're really becoming, your transformations, the hair part happens in a snap. I cannot explain this to you, how easeful that transformation occurs, because it's not ever a question when a client's coming to you that you don't have the skills to do their hair and to create the transformation. That's never the question. The question is, how do you receive the information about the transformation that your clients are moving through with their identity? And how do you take that information and therefore transform it into their reflection with their hair? And that is the adjustment piece of understanding the internal dwellings of your client so that you can best align your external reflective work to their internal identity discovery. It's a beautiful, layered, delicious. I love it. Like, I love the transformation, the transitional, the unpacking, the psychology, the extension. I love this piece. This is my favorite piece of my work, which is, set me on a journey for 25 years and written the Evolve curriculum. And now I'm teaching it to hairdressers and how to actually really go deeper, know more, understand the human experience, and break open the psychology behind what it is that's going on, so that you can offer your clients this experience that's juicy and rich and aligned and purposeful. And that's the bit that really inspires and gets myself fired up, is really understanding the person that's sitting in my chair and how to best work with them. And secondary to that is the hair and what I'm going to do. But understanding what's really going on with my client is the primary element to the overall success of that transformation. So yeah, this is learnt in Evolve. It's learnt in the Evolve curriculum, and there's so many different sections that actually cover this work and what transformation, how we work with transformation, but there's so many layers to it. So we learn transformation right through the Evolve curriculum: transformation of self, transformation of the business, the psychology, and transformation of the magic and the, what really goes on between two people. So it's quite extensive. And then, when you go into becoming a transformation agent, which is the advanced TA, you actually start learning the magic and the alchemy of that work, how to create alchemy with your clients, and what alchemy in the salon really means. This is beyond just doing hair anymore. This is like really getting into the mystical aspect of your business. And I tell you now, there is an amazingly mystical part of what it is that we do that is really unspoken about. Because have you ever had that experience with a client where you've spent 2, 3, 4 hours with a client and it's just been the most magical experience because the alchemy between the two of you was so ripe and so rich that you went places that you couldn't have imagined going, in exploring even their story, their landscape, delving into getting to know them better, or even, producing this phenomenal transformation that's just blown your mind and gone, oh my God, that was like the best hair I've ever done. And it's not because your skills changed in that moment. It's because you spent the time getting to know the person sitting in your chair, and you best associated who they were with what you were giving them. That's the magic. That's the juicy bit of our work. The juicy bit of our work is the human experience. If this has excited you and inspired you and you want to know more, go to houseofmetamorphosis.au and book a call with me, and let's have a chat to see whether you are in a place that's aligned with the work that I am doing here at the House of Metamorphosis. Beyond that, if you just love this content, love this information that's coming to you, please just like, share, and subscribe to this channel so it may grow and other hairdressers may receive this inspirational new way of looking at what it is that we do in the hairdressing industry. And I thank you for your time, your presence, and for listening to this video today. And I look forward, as always, to seeing you in the next one. I'll see you all soon.